Welcome in to Husker Extra Live. We're live, Sipple. There we go. Clock's ticking. 6 seconds in. I'm Parker. There's Sipple. It's the Husker Extra crew post-game edition. What a post-game edition. Husker Extra Live presented by Tom Dinsdale, Automotive Group, Grand Island, and Hastings. Appreciate the sponsorship, obviously, there for this and all of our live content and our weekly podcast during the football season. Sipple, the football season was not kind to Nebraska today, was it?
No, it was. I mean, you know, it's hard. We're tasked with putting this in perspective, and I would start by saying Nebraska was a 15-point favorite, and I'd like to find, Parker, the person who said before the game that Illinois would win the game easily and make it look easy.
Yeah, I know.
Does that person exist?
I don't think so.
I can't believe anybody close to the Illinois program would even look at it and say, you know what, I think we can go in there and win easily.
Illinois played like they thought they could come in and do what they wanted, but I don't know that they would have thought that they would just roll like they did.
Yeah, and I would say they made a lot look easy. They were 12. What were they on? 11 or
17 on third down.
Well, yeah, that's the stat that, that's the one that kind of jumps out at me as far as making it look easy.
How about +5 in the turnover department?
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that in my column. I should have. +5. +5. Yeah, that can't be emphasized enough.
I honestly don't think I remember covering a team that went -5 in the turnover department in one game.
Yeah, definitely. I can say with a lot of confidence that you've never covered a team that won and was -5.
No. I think I wrote that would be virtually impossible.
Frost has a lot of issues on this team. A lot of them are on offense, and I mean, another way to put this, Parker, another way to try to make sense of this is, in the endless preseason discussion that surrounds this program, the months and months of chatter, I think
especially
most of us, year. Yeah, I think most of us agreed that the offensive line and quarterback positions would be the strengths of this team.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And you would feel pretty good about those positions.
Yep.
At 1 and 3, you don't feel good about the offensive line right now. And I don't know what you're going to do at quarterback at this point.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. The offensive line is confounding in particular because they came out and played well early on against Ohio State and really moved the ball for a half. And honestly, in 3.5 games since then, it's been really inconsistent. I mean, there's been some good things, but by and large, it has not been pretty up front. And Cam Jurgens being hurt has something to do with that, but the hallmark of this line was supposed to be depth and quality depth, and we just haven't seen consistent performance from that group so far. Now, I mean, they're not the only ones. Don't let it come off like I'm laying this all on the offensive line. I'm not, but or
the quarterback, or the
quarterbacks for that matter. I mean, but the thing that is really amazing is that it's something different every time. It seems like, against Northwestern, like Adrian Martinez was really inaccurate for swaths of that game against Northwestern. And then today it's more like you got receivers running all over the place and the quarterback can't hit them, or doesn't see him, or overthrows or whatever. And so, and then you got 2 running backs hurt today, and you make a change at center. So it's just like a never-ending, parade of issues on offense is what it feels like through 4 games.
Yeah. So Dedrick Mills, the number 1 running back, was not suited up, nor was Ronald Tompkins. So they leaned on Marvin Scott. They leaned on Wandale. The quarterback, Luke McCaffrey, ran 26 times.
Yeah. 19 in the first half.
Yeah, 19 in the first half. So yeah, the offensive line did not play well. The quarterback position did not play well. I mean, like you said, there were guys running open. He didn't see them. I don't know what exactly you do there. Um, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Now the defense, of course, after a strong performance against Penn State, a decent performance where they dug in late and came up with 2 stops late in that game against Penn State, were awarded black shirts this week, did not play well. Or I would say that they really got out coached bad. I mean, Illinois made it look easy a lot of the time. I think Illinois was easily the better coach team. I mean, on this day. Frost is going to have to really, really take a look at that part of it, because I thought they got schooled pretty bad today.
All right, there's a litany of questions, diatribes, complaints, grievances in the comment section. So let's get to them. Ron Burgundy, thank you for joining us, Ron. On YouTube says, I'm in a glass case of emotion. Yes, I know it is distressing when Baxter goes missing. What's your thought on Thomas Fedoni tweeting, I'm not sure what to think? Well, I mean, Ron, Sipple and I were talking about this on the walk back to the Journal Star parking lot. And there's another question down here, which I think let's just tie these two in, Sipple. Someone down here says, what tangible progress can the Frost regime make a case for? Michael asked that. And so I think that those things are tied together, right? Thomas Fedoni is a recruit. He's committed. He's a very important recruit. And the case for progress is what you're telling recruits about in large part at this point. Sipple, I mean, what do you think? This was sort of the basis of your column, wasn't it? About progress or the lack thereof?
Kind of. On a day like this, it's hard to sell that notion. Now, you got to think globally
Sure.
as you entertain that question. And just last week, we wrote about how we think there's definite progress on the defensive side.
Right.
Just a week ago. We've talked about how the defense played well the first 25 minutes of the Ohio State game. At least they held up in the trenches pretty well, right? First 25 minutes. Against Northwestern, they got after the quarterback. Chenander pointed that out this week, and they held Northwestern to 317 yards. Not bad. So it doesn't all go out the window in a performance like this.
Right.
But I would say a lot of it does. I mean, you're on your home field against a team. Again, you're a 15-point favorite. This is a team in Illinois, Parker, that's just 17-37 under Lovie Smith. 17-37, and he's in his 5th year. They haven't beaten many teams, and here they are looking pretty dominant against you, and it's perplexing. So Thomas Fedoni saying, I don't know what to think, I would say that comment echoes the sentiment of most of the Nebraska fans.
Yeah, right.
Including, and I'm not in a fan base, but I would say my overriding sentiment right now about the program is I don't know what to think.
Yeah. John asked this for the status of Colin Miller. Yeah, good question, John. God, that's scary. I mean, it really sucks when that happens, and it was hard to watch, even just being up in the press box. He's doing okay. The early returns are promising. He's going to stay overnight at Brian West tonight for precautionary reasons, but all of the scans and stuff have come back normal. Frost said after the game that he has feeling in all of his extremities and movement in all of his extremities. So that's good, obviously. So overnight in the hospital, but it sounds like the early signs on Colin Miller are good, which is really fortunate because, I mean, that's really scary whenever you get in a situation like that.
Yeah, and, more than one person pointed out after the game that he's the heart and soul of the defense. Team captain, inside linebacker, obviously has risen as a leader in that program. So I think it shook the team up.
Yeah.
Parker, it's great to hear it. He's doing okay.
Yeah, it is. Brandon, time for Frost to clean house on the coaching staff, he asks.
No, I mean, I think it's easy to be rash in a moment like this. But I don't now. Listen, you don't rule out anything. He made moves on his staff after last year. I mean, he fired guys. Those weren't guys moving on. He fired them. So I mean, I would never. Before it happened last year, during the middle of the year, I think I even wrote a column that said Frost won't make moves. I won't be writing that column this year. I don't know. There's stuff he's going to have to think long and hard about, I would think, in the weeks ahead.
Jake says, thought maybe the Penn State game we turned the corner today was a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't think they turned a corner against Penn State, but I thought it was a definite, what a lot of people are saying today, Parker. It was one step up against Penn State. Now, I would say several steps back today.
Yeah. Patty says, we now know the problem wasn't Adrian.
Fair.
Yeah. I again, it's never one thing. Sipple and I were talking about this earlier. I mean, it just looks like different problems all the time on offense. And certainly the quarterbacks didn't, McCaffrey didn't play well today. He said that after the game. It was obvious watching 3 interceptions. But it's also obvious that quarterback's not the only issue. And I honestly, I don't know what the first problem that can be solved is. I think there must be problems that they can solve, over the course of a season. But I honestly don't really know. Sipple, if you were Frost or if you're Matt Lubick, what's the first thing? When you go back today, tonight, or tomorrow, whatever it is, what is the first thing you think about?
There's 2 things that come to mind, and I'm talking about the program in general first, and then the offense. I think there has to be a mentality shift. This isn't a program that acts like an underdog. It's a program that acts like they're there. And it's strange to me. I think maybe there's a lot of things that go into that conversation, including maybe the way it's covered. There's an endless amount of media that cover this program. And I don't know. It just, it doesn't seem like an underdog program to me. They don't seem like they have that mentality. They're scratching and clawing to build a program that has missed 3 straight bowl games, but they don't act like that.
Right.
Now, the other part of it is, Parker, I think you have to get the run game going. I mean, I'm not run the ball guy, but there's a physicality that seems like it's lacking in the program. And they have to start building around something. And I would say do it around the run game, which, Parker, didn't we sort of think they were going to do that with Dedrick Mills this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought they'd be.
It never transpired from the very start. Think about that. From the very start against Ohio State, what did they do? They ran the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They didn't try to establish a downhill game with the running back. They went to the quarterback run game from the opening gate, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I would try to start with mentality. And I don't know how you do it. It's way easier said than done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you said. 28 rush attempts for the quarterbacks today, 26 for McCaffrey, and then 2 late for Adrian. And I agree with you. I think you have to start to forge an identity. I'm not sure what theirs is on offense right now. That's forge an identity. I like it. Some people would tell you that's overrated, but I think when you watch a bad team play, it tells you that that's not an overrated concept. Yeah. Scott Frost said that he could see the missed shots downfield that they didn't take. Why wasn't that communicated during the game if he saw those things? Well, Jeremy, I would, but it also may have been. Luke McCaffrey's on the phone with Mario Verduzco between every series, and I would bet you that if we can sit in the press box and watch Xavier Betts run a post wide open where he probably hits his head on the goalpost if the ball gets thrown, I'm guessing that they saw that in the coach's box too. So the player, some of it's schematics. I thought that there were several instances where receivers were open today. I thought there were several instances where there's a couple of drops, and then there were some balls that didn't get thrown or weren't thrown accurately. You can't. They can tell them, "Hey, you missed one," but you can't walk the ball down the field and throw it. Teams play how they practice, and then someone also here says, "Just watch Northwestern beat Wisconsin. The contrast in effort, discipline, and execution compared with Nebraska was stark."
Fair.
Ironic how they wore the black shirt jerseys, but they were nowhere to be found today. Yeah, Corey. That did not go how they planned on it going. Player development needs to be addressed, Alex says.
Sure it does. Everything needs to be addressed. They're 1-3 with a terrible loss. They're 1-3 now. Now, they didn't have terrible losses. Now they have a terrible loss. Those losses, the Ohio State loss wasn't terrible. In fact, a lot of people that are pretty smart, Jay Foreman, Mike Minter, a lot of people sold that as progress. Northwestern wasn't a terrible loss. This was a terrible loss. And it should be portrayed as such. Well, come on. It's not hard to portray it that way.
No. Chris says Martinez looked pretty good at the end of the game. What are your feelings about Martinez playing tonight, and will he get more playing time going forward? Yeah, Chris, he did, but the game was out of hand at that point too. So that game situation factors into that to some degree. He was 3 of 4 for 43 and a touchdown, but who knows who's going to play quarterback going forward, Sipple.
Don't you call those guys in? Now, I have all the answers, obviously.
Of course you do. Well, look at your shirt. Of course you have all the answers.
Right. Don't you call those guys in tomorrow and say, look, this is a battle royale now in practice. We're going to see who comes out of this, because neither of you are – we don't know who the starter is going into Monday's practice.
Yeah.
Win the job. Win it.
I would think
I just don't know if you can. I don't know if it would be fair right now to give one the edge.
No. I wouldn't think that one would have the edge after tonight. And, the thing that's interesting to me is we heard a little bit sort of concerning after the game. Not like personally concerning, but I would think that you'd be concerned if you were a Nebraska player or a coach and you heard players talking about how practice wasn't that sharp this week. And Frost said more than once that it was like they won one game and thought they were suddenly very good or something like that. But
that's what I mean.
There's only so much, like the best coaches are master motivators without a doubt, but the best players are also self-motivators. And so we haven't seen a second of practice. I have no idea what it looks like, but I think that either quarterback would do well to engender an edge at practice and to bring guys along on the search for that edge.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I meant, Parker, about they don't act like a hungry program. I don't. That's the thing that's confounding to me. They comport themselves like front runners. It just doesn't add up.
Jack says, Sip, do you agree that Nebraska's made progress under Frost, but they always seem to take one step forward, one step back?
Oh, it's hard to sell. Like I said, and I wrote, it's hard to sell progress right now.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of it. Where is it? Is it in discipline? They're -5 in turnovers and had 7 penalties, and penalties have been a consistent issue.
Yeah.
It's not inconsistency because they're really inconsistent as a program, which is a very hallmark of mediocrity. I just don't know. They look more athletic at times, but not today. I didn't think they looked more athletic today. They routinely were getting beat. Receivers were beating defensive backs. Their running backs looked really good. And Brandon Peters operated really smoothly.
18 of 25 for 205 and a touchdown, plus 36 rushing yards and a touchdown.
he looked excellent, and he doesn't always look that way. I mean,
Yeah.
and he did it. They made it look pretty easy, and I don't think you can emphasize that enough. That Illinois, a 15-point underdog, a team that lost 41-14 to Minnesota, that lost 45-7 to Wisconsin, went into Lincoln and made it look pretty easy and winning 41-23. Game that wasn't that close. It was the final score is a little bit misleading.
Dustin, to your point, Sipple, says surprised by a lot of things, but how does Illinois win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? They did, that's for sure.
They did, yeah.
Lloyd in London, Ontario. What's up, Lloyd?
Hi, Lloyd.
How many points off turnover? 17 for Northwestern is the answer to that question. Johnny says, "Sip, get the glasses." You didn't need glasses to see what happened. There it is. There they are. This game just shows how horrible Penn State is, John said. Well, yeah, Penn State got thumped by Iowa today.
41-21 was that score.
Yep. Describe the difference between Frost's description of practice this week and the players. Mike, I don't know. Was there a difference?
Austin Allen said at one point, Austin Allen described it, Parker, as businesslike, but then he said there wasn't enough juice.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's the one that sort of went down that road, and he said that they addressed the lack of fire. They talked about it, but interestingly, he said it really didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Nebraska had a flat week of practice. I think, like Austin Allen said, they were businesslike, but there just wasn't much energy. Now, again, Parker, that's concerning to me. I mean, you're coming off you want to be the program that's on the rise. You get a win, and here we go. But it didn't sound like that's what the attitude was in practice. And out of all the things I heard in the post game, that was one of the biggest red flags, if not the biggest red flag.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Chris says, why did Frost stick with Luke in the second half when he clearly struggled finding open receivers? Yeah, Chris, it's a fair question. Frost said that he didn't consider switching quarterbacks earlier in the game. To be fair, Nebraska scored a touchdown on its first drive of the second half. It already felt deflated by then because of the fake punt that turned a 3-and-out into a 16-play drive for Illinois just before that. Brent says, D-line, seems like we get no pressure, just bull rush. Yeah, Brent, there was not a lot of pressure to speak of today. Can you vape in the Husker locker room, Johnny? I don't think so, but I don't know the answer to that question. Chris, what kind of offense do you call Nebraska's? Serious question.
Parker, now that's for you because you asked that question.
Yeah, it's a spread. Read based. It's a read based spread option, but it doesn't look. Sipple and I have talked about this a lot, and I've said this before. I just don't. At this point, I don't know what Nebraska's offensive identity is. I don't know. Like going into any given game, I have no idea what they're going to try to establish or what they're going to try to do, and I don't know. That something seems off about that. Where is the bottom of this spiral? David asks.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to say they hit it today. I don't know that they did.
Right, and I don't know that it felt like a spiral before this week. They gave up a lot of points to Ohio State and lost to Northwestern, but Northwestern's 5-0 now. They're going to be ranked in the top 10 probably after this week. So, and then they won last week. So. Obviously, it was a bad day. There's no doubt about it. And clearly, there's a lot of questions and issues going forward. But to suggest that, it was a bad day, it can't get any worse than this, I don't know about that.
I wouldn't say that.
Iowa's 6 days away. Chris says this has to be a circle the wagons kind of week if you want to even compete with Iowa. But I want to know if the staff can break some of its tendencies. What is one thing they can change schematically?
On offense or defense, Parker?
Yeah, I mean, offensively, they're just really limited right now. I mean, they tried to take a bunch of shots today. They had receivers downfield a lot today. They had some misses down the field in terms of delivering the ball. They missed some opportunities. They had pressure. There's a bunch of stuff that they tried to push the ball down the field today, and for the most part, they just couldn't.
Here's the deal in the passing game. This is why a lot of people like a ground-based offense, because so much. Frost talked about it in the postgame, Parker. So much has to go right when you pass the ball. I mean, you have to have the protection. The ball has to be delivered on time. There has to be a catch made. There's just a lot that goes. It's why, I mean, maybe I am run the ball guy a little bit, probably a lot, in part because of that,
Yeah, I get it. But I feel like that's something that you talk about when the passing game's bad, because passing offense in football in general, college and the NFL, has never been more prolific than it is right now.
I know.
Never been easier to get yards through the air, generally speaking, in college football in the NFL right now. And Nebraska can't do it. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's a passing world. It's a passing game.
Yep.
And Nebraska can't do it. It's pretty.
You just said a mouthful there, and you're exactly right. It looks like Nebraska's trying to solve the riddle of the world when they pass, and it's weird, kind of.
Yeah, and there's teams that just you can get 15 yards, just because you decided to, pretty much. Now, not in the Big Ten. I mean, it's a different story, unless you're Ohio State or Indiana today, but yeah, Ryan says our center should not play if he has really bad turf toe. Yeah, Ryan, well, Frost, I mean, they made the change at halftime. Matt Farniok played the second half at center for Cam Jurgens, and Frost said that he thought that the injury to Jurgens contributed to the struggles. So that'll be one to monitor going forward. I don't think there's any guarantee. Cam Jurgens, I mean, maybe he'll be in position to play in 6 days or sort of generally speaking through the rest of the year. Maybe not. We'll see. How much of the inconsistency do you think has to do with how young a lot of the offense is, Chris asks?
It definitely is a factor. So no Dedrick Mills today. You played a true freshman in Marvin Scott, who's adequate, right? You bring Ramir Johnson in he's a redshirt freshman.
Yep.
I thought it was curious that they right away ran a play where he was the lead blocker. He just doesn't strike me as that type.
Didn't work.
No.
But there's a good point. There's a good example of what Nebraska has battled all year offensively, which is like your playbook is constricted by who you have on the field. They just don't have many guys out there besides Wan'Dale Robinson and Austin Allen who they can run anything, anytime with and trust that the guys are going to know what they're doing or be able to carry out what they're supposed to do.
They're not – I don't know. There's a lot going on with that. Now, you see some guys that are making progress. I think Falk is making progress, right?
Yep.
They played Oliver Martin today, and that looked pretty good. He looks like a guy that you can work with. Falk, Martin, Xavier Betts. Now, I don't know, did Betts have – what did he do today?
He just had he had one catch early for 9 yards and then didn't see much after that. He played quite a bit. They just
Austin Allen had five catches.
I know that Xavier Betts was wide open on a post at one point, but
Austin Allen had 5 catches for 43 yards. Wan'Dale at 6 for 60. They are getting the ball to Wan'Dale more. He had 7 carries for 60 yards, and he had 6 catches. So they got the ball to Wan'Dale.
Let's take a couple more and get out of here, Sipple. There are so many questions. Thanks, guys, for all of the questions and comments here. We can't get to nearly all of them, but we really appreciate you doing this. I saw someone in here say, here it is, Ron Burgundy. I don't think we've ever won wearing the black shirts. In fact, no, Nebraska hasn't won wearing black shirts. I think Chris Basnet ran this down 0-3. Last year against Indiana, this year, and then there was one before that I don't remember. Put Martinez back in, Michael. Yeah, we'll see about that. Let's see. A couple more. Cincinnati turned it around in 2 years. Now they're top 10. Yep, Scott, that's a good point. Let's see. Well, let's look for one more good one. Fleming played well against Northwestern. Haven't seen him in a while. Corey, didn't play much at all today. He was out there a little bit, I think, but yeah, he had 5 for 75 against Northwestern, and then nothing since. So I don't know what that's about. Trepper says, "Shut up, Sipple." That seems like a good place to end it.
Parker, come on. That's unfair. I'm joking. You're fine.
So we appreciate all of you guys in the comments. Again, appreciate you for all of the questions and comments today. Appreciate Tom Dinsdale Automotive Group from Grand Island and Hastings for sponsoring this Facebook Live. We got all kinds of content out of from the game, video, and obviously stories at huskerextra.com. We'll have more later tonight, tomorrow, Monday. Obviously, short week coming up, holiday week, with a trip to Iowa on Friday. So until then, for Sipple, I'm Parker. Thanks for watching.